Hi, this is Jennifer from Silken Windhounds, and this is a video on basic grooming for either pet or show Silken Windhounds. I'm using one of our bred-by dogs, Matcha. She's about 8 months old in this video, and she is the daughter of our Mark and Chai. I've been grooming her like all of our puppies we raise since she was 4 or 5 weeks old, so she's pretty used to the process. Here I'm high velocity blow drying her. I started with her as towel dried, and I'll go through her whole coat with the high velocity blow dryer and make sure she's fully dry at the skin and all the way out to the tips of the hair. If you're interested in the kind of blow dryer I'm using a Canine 3, and this is probably a lot more blow dryer than somebody needs for Silkens, but since we raise poodles, we use a big expensive dryer. You can see I'm reverse blowing on her neck. That's important for the show ring to make sure that her neck is really fluffy. And as I go around the neck and head, I'm closing the ears shut with my fingers. You can also pack the ears with cotton if you need to in order to get them dry around the face and head. Just keeps it quieter for them. She's pretty used to the blow drying. You can see my poodle puppy down there kind of wants to get in on the action as well. I use both reverse and with the grain blow drying. We tend to, on the areas we want puffy, blow dry the hair backwards, and on the areas that we want to lay down flat, we dry with the grain. Make sure to dry the feet and the hocks because we're going to be trimming those later. I'm going to be finishing up here on this speeded up video, and you'll see me take off the nozzle, the concentrator nozzle, and switch over to an open nozzle. This has more heat on it, and this is going to help me heat up the coat in order to help set the coat in order to straighten it. This is important really only for the show ring. I'm heating up the top line, and so that I can set the top line. I like it nice and smooth, the transition from the neck over the withers. I want to show that top line rise at the last rib, and then I'm reversing a little bit on the croup to give it a little extra fluff because that part we want to stay up a little bit more. Top line is pretty important in Silken Windhounds, but again, for a pet, it's not a big deal. Now I'm brushing her out, so I'm setting the coat on the top line, and then I'm also thoroughly brushing through her entire body. I didn't show the other side of brushing her body. I apologize. Now I'm using a wide tooth comb to go through her whole body and tail. Make sure that I have all the undercoat out and that there's no tangles. The brush that I was using was an Activet Gold brush. That's a brush primarily meant for poodles. You can use any type of slicker brush for a Silken. For brushing and combing a Silken, that should be done at least every 2 weeks. Now I'm clipping her nails. I prefer the Miller's Forge medium nail clipper, the scissor style. I don't like the guillotine style. Silken should have their nails cut at least every 2 to 3 weeks, max of going no more than 4 weeks between nail trims. If you trim a dog's nails often, they get used to it and will stand quietly like she does. We do trim our puppies' nails from the first week that they're born, and so they're pretty used to it. They don't have a lot of fuss. Sorry for the kind of iffy camera angle here. I just wanted to make a quick video to share with some of our buyers. You notice that I do have her on a hydraulic table, which again is not something that's necessary for you to have. And I have her neck in a quick release noose, attached to a grooming arm. She doesn't really need it, as you can see. She's just kind of hanging out, but it helps in case she was to jump. I don't want her to fall and hurt herself. Now I'm going to be trimming the pads. I'm using a Wall Bravura. It has a 5-in-1 blade, and you saw me point to the blade there. That's pointing out that the 5-in-1 setting is set to a number 40. The number 40 blade is the safest choice for doing pads so that you don't cut any of their skin. I'm going to show you a close-up here. I'm going to start with cutting the hair in between the main pad and the 4 pads. I'm going to use a scooping motion. I don't want to jam or jab my clipper into there, but we do want to remove some of that hair down inside. Removing the hair that hangs over the back of this pad And then I'm removing all the hair on the surface of all 4 toes, including right up to the edge of the foot. This isn't necessary to do either for show or for pet, but I think it keeps them a lot cleaner. You could use the scissors, but it's a lot more dangerous, much easier to cut their pads. So professional groomers generally use a number 40 blade for safety. You can see here I'm carefully trimming around the pads and around the base of the nails, but I'm not going up onto the top of the foot. I'm trimming nothing that you can see while the dog is standing. This is a nice clean foot. Next, I'm going to be showing you how to trim the top of the feet, the hairs that hang over. She has barely any. Some Silkens grow a ton of like little elfin toe hair. You don't have to trim that either for show or for pet. Again, some people really like it and it's not necessary to trim for the show ring, but I like a clean and sharp looking foot. I'm using a scissor here. I'm back brushing with my brush to lift up the hairs and then trimming them off with the scissors, even with the toes. I'm using a scissors, but if you're new to trimming, you should really use a thinning shear because it will leave a softer finish and it's much less likely to cut the dog's skin if you were to make a mistake. Excuse the bad camera angle here. I just kind of made a mistake here, but what I'm doing is back brushing the hock hair and then trimming a straight line from hock to the floor with the hock. I don't take all the hock hair off like a pet groomer would. Again, here you can see I'm trimming the top of the foot. I'm going to give you a different angle of how to trim there. And basically this is going to be all that you're going to need to do. Silkens are a very low maintenance breed, and our breed standard for the show ring doesn't call for any serious trimming. In fact, we're not supposed to be doing a lot of trimming on the bodies. It allows for neatening of the body hair and the feet. This is not a breed that needs to be shaved or anything like that, like a poodle. So I'm finishing up the 4 feet. And then this next part is showing how to take transition the feathering into the pastern. So you brush that straight out with the foot standing in a natural position and just neaten up the transition from the elbow into the pastern. She's not got a lot of hair, so it's pretty easy.